up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I am to stay at your house today. So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, he has gone to be guest of one of those who is a sinner. Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much. Then Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save those who were lost. The gospel of the Lord. Okay, this is one of those times where the translation in English doesn't quite get it right according to the Greek. To the Greek it says, I already give half of everything I have to the poor, and if I've defrauded anybody, I will give them back 3 times or 2 times. So we always see the tax collectors as being these evil, money-grubbing things, and I think we have this tendency to jump to conclusions on it. And with Zacchaeus, we jump there, and we have like all these wonderful, horrible things like we like to say about him. He was a short, little Danny DeVito kind of guy, is just a little monster. And really, when you stop and you read the story, here's a guy who ran up ahead because he knew Jesus was coming. He knew he was short. He didn't say, get out of my way, I'm the tax collector. You know, he climbs a sycamore tree, and he is happy when Jesus passes by, and he is happy when Jesus talks to him, and he is happy to have him in his house. He hasn't hit any of the marks of the stereotypes that we have. And the reason I wanted to read this is because sometimes we jump to conclusions about where people are in their spiritual life, or we jump to conclusions about what people are in their personalities. And I was thought of somebody today, a really nice gentleman from my former congregation. And when I moved to Albany at first, I'd see him in the back row with his wife, and he always had a scowl on his face, you know, and I'm like, man, I can't get this guy to smile for nothing, right? Nothing. And I thought he was the most bitter, twisted little man ever. And but his wife said, could you come to our house for coffee? And I said, I'd love to. So I went there and I sat down, and super nice man. And I found out he'd had a stroke and he couldn't smile. And I had all these preconceived ideas that he was back there in that back row scowling at me, and I was saying, you know, I just knew everything about him, and I knew nothing about him. Nothing, right? And I think sometimes even when we've known each other for a long time, like how many of you guys have known each other for 30, 40 plus years? And you think you know everything. You don't know anything. You don't know what's going on in someone's personal life. You don't know what's going on in somebody's family life. You don't know what's going on in somebody's family's extended life. We can't judge these people because we don't know. And the only way we'll get to know is if you sit down and talk, and more than talk, listen. Just listen to their stories. And you might find out that you've jumped to all these conclusions and none of them are right. And maybe the guy doesn't smile, or the person is a little bit grumpy in the back because they can't. And maybe we need to find out why instead of making our own conclusions. And that's one of the things I wanted in these table conversations, that you sit, converse, get to know each other, enjoy each other's company, and just accept each other for who you are, where you are today, and be happy that you're here together. But don't judge anyone. And I'm horrible at it, right? I can go in my office and I can go rah, 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 and everything else, but really when it really boils down to, I really don't know the person I'm frustrated with's whole story. And they don't know my whole story, right? And so we jump to these conclusions, and the only person that knows the whole truth, nothing but the truth, is Christ. Because when Christ saw Zacchaeus, he knew exactly who he was. And he wanted to go to his house, and I think he wanted to go to his house to point out to everybody else that, listen, this isn't a bad guy. He's a pretty good guy. Give him a chance. Amen.